What's up everybody, Alex here. This is a follow-up review, you could say, on the AYANEO GEEK 1S because I've had mine for just over a month now and I gotta be honest, I'm really enjoying it. I really like it. I just wanted to show some of the plastic shell here to show that, you know, I've been using it for a month and I've heard from people that it can smudge a bit. So I've been cleaning it from time to time and I just wanted to show you, you know, just what the plastic looks like even after a little bit of a clean. I'll show it again at the end of the video after I've recorded for over an hour and the heat of the room also, you know, your hands get a little bit sweaty so you can see what the plastic looks like. But yeah, I've had it for a month now and it's just been a really good experience. Here I'm showing the download page on the support page for AYANEO.com. This is where you can upgrade some of your drivers. One of the primary things here is ISpace 2, which I did a video on, which was just a much nicer experience than ISpace 1 for me. And I've been exclusively using that to handle all the behind the scenes stuff with the GEEK 1S. And I also got a 1TB drive. I previously had a 512GB and that was actually enough, but I found that like I wanted this to be like a full experience and just have everything I needed on it. So I bought a 1TB SD card on sale and have been just filling that with ROMs I like, which has been really nice. Here I'm having a quick look at Adrenaline. This is the hub for basically the AMD graphics stuff. You can see here there's an update for the current driver, but I'm hesitant about using it because I did an update and it kind of like ruined the experience. It made the whole thing in portrait mode. And I'm just quickly showing here how I've got a program called FX Sound. I'm using a gaming profile here. I'm going to link a video I had a quick look at that kind of like helps set up an AYANEO 2S. And this just like really bumps up your audio like massively compared to the 100% volume that it currently was before, and it doesn't like distort or ruin it. So I actually thought that was a really good experience. But yeah, I'll just briefly say that also in that video it helped me find a driver from a different handheld so I could update my graphics driver. I don't know if it's a really big deal, but I just want to briefly have a talk about front ends because I'm currently not using a front end, but I just wanted to show big picture here in Steam because it does look really nice and it's probably what I would end up using if I like set up all my emulators in there, because I've pretty much set up all my ROMs now. And this is a similar case with the Odin, that once I had everything set up, that was when I was kind of ready to start using a front end. So that's probably the thing I'll look into next. This is ISpace 2, I've already done a video on. I've got a couple of profiles here, but to be absolutely honest, I'm just using my normal profile, which is 60 FPS limit, and using Smart TDP. And, you know, people are saying that, you know, it's not quite as efficient, but I think it's running fantastically for me. And then I'm having a brief look at the fan controls here. I've got mine set up in a little, like, ladder, and I'm about to show what the fan sounds like. And I bump it up to 100%. And I just wanted to show what 100% sounds like. It can be quite loud at 100%, but I've never needed it at 100%. The curve that I set myself, that little like ladder, so it goes from like 40 degrees up to like 70, 80. It bumps up when it needs to, but so when I'm playing a game like Jet Set Radio Future, for example, I just don't hear the fan. The way I have my curve set up, I pretty much, honestly, I don't hear the fan at all, not really. So it keeps cool enough. I mean, obviously the screen will get hot and stuff, but I'm not touching that. Anyway, so I wanted to like get on to like the kind of games I've been playing. I actually tried to finish Jet Set Radio Future before Bomb Rush Cyberfunk came out, and I was unable to do so. Just testing here that with the FX Sound thing, the program I had on, if I bump it up to 100%, it's pretty loud. And if you want it really loud, there's no reason to have it that loud, but you have the option to do so. I found with some games when you put it to 100%, even with the audio options as high as possible, some games were like a little bit quiet for me. So this program helps with that if you want to. But I'm just about to demonstrate here. I was in chapter 4 in Jet Set Radio Future, and whenever I try to go to Shibuya Terminal, it just locks up and doesn't load, which is frustrating. I actually started the game again and speed ran to my current save to try and see if something screwed up with my save file, and it still didn't work. having another look at another Xbox game. I've been wanting to play more Xbox games because basically Xbox and up is emulation territory I've not really like touched upon since I've worked so much on like Android games with like the Odin and the Retro Pocket 3 Plus. And yeah, I'm just going to demonstrate a bunch of high-end emulation here that I've been playing on. I've been playing a whole bunch of games. When it comes to emulation, the one I've actually like properly finished is Goldeneye for the Xbox Live Arcade that got leaked. I wanted to finish Jet Set Radio Future, but I can't. I did have some frustrations with that game. But there's a bunch of games like Dead or Alive 3, for example, which are really like nice to just jam on. And whilst I remember, one of my complaints with this device before I had was it was quite heavy, at nearly 700 grams. But I have to say, over my time using it, over the past month, I've really gotten used to the weight. I think my hands have gotten more used to how I want to grip it and use it over longer periods. So when I pick it up, I really don't think to myself like, ooh, this feels heavy and annoying. I actually really like using it now. I forgot to mention that when that throw happened in the water, there was a frame rate drop there, and I'd probably have to set Dead or Alive 3 to 1x to properly curve that, but yeah, I need to get used to these higher end emulators. Here I'm just showing that I have some different profiles saved up for if I need to switch settings in and out for certain games. So with Goldeneye here, for example, I need to use Vulkan. And so what I've pretty much done is made copies of the like main settings file, so that's the TOTM file for the .config, and just save them as different things. So for Goldeneye, I saved the Vulkan change, and I just copy everything from that notepad file and just paste it into the main one. This way I'm not like trying to find settings all the time and tweak them. It's just a very quick way of just getting into the game I want to play without any issues. So I just wanted to show that live there. And yep, clicking on Bean, because Goldeneye for Xbox Live Arcade was not officially released, it was leaked. This was something I've been thinking about playing for like well over a year now. I've been wanting to play this on a handheld, a Windows handheld, and this was something I actually had penned for the Loki, but that took so long to arrive. I played all of Goldeneye, man. I got all the cheats again, and it was so nice playing this at 60 frames, I swear, man. Like, if you go back to Goldeneye on the N64, you forget how bad the frame rate was, and playing it all again, really smooth. It's actually a really good shooter. I was surprised how much of a fun, good shooter it was coming back to it, because all these animations are fantastic. When you shoot the guards, it just feels satisfying, and there's loads of good guns in the game. So I very quickly got addicted and did everything. Even though there's some frustrating levels and some hard cheats, it was just super fun to play. And Goldeneye is just one of those things where like it's in most gamers' hearts. They played it as kids, they played the multiplayer. Surprisingly for me, when I was a kid, I remember looking at the N64 in magazines, and this was like 3D is coming, and it was just mind-blowing. I used to have dreams about this console, and the one game I like wanted to play so much was Super Mario 64. I wanted that game so badly. It came to Christmas. Me and my brother got an N64, and I am so excited to play Mario 64. But we also had Goldeneye, and you know, and me as a young boy becoming like a young teen adult, something changed. My taste in games changed a little bit. So playing something like this was fantastic. Yeah, absolutely recommend playing that if you need something to just get absorbed in. And now we're going up into 360 emulation. This is Gears of War 2. I have only played Gears of War 1 on the PC because we did have a 360. My brother had a 360, but I wasn't huge on a lot of games on it because I was a PC gamer mostly, and I really wanted games to come to the PC. Gears of War 2 is one of those games where back in the day I would have been like, oh, I wish this was on PC. I want to play this at 60 frames. And this is something you can absolutely do on the Xenia 360 emulator. If you turn off VSync and set it to false, it will allow games to run at an uncapped frame rate. So this is Gears of War 2 running at up to 60, whatever your refresh rate is of your screen or monitor. And it looks really nice. I have to say, looking back at the footage here, it looks a lot better in person. You can see that it's smooth and it's running nicely in the video and on the emulator, but in person it looks a lot nicer. So I played Gears of War 2 for a little bit. This is one I definitely want to get into more soon, and then get on to Gears of War 3. It's a trilogy I've always wanted to play, but I only played the first one on PC. Just remembering the physics from old 360 games. It's a very specific feeling to remember the physics of like Unreal Engine 3 games. This is PlayStation 3 now. This is Infamous Festival of Blood. I loved Infamous 1 and 2, but I never played Festival of Blood, so this was one I was thinking, like, this will be great for a handheld. And it runs fairly okay. I mean, it seems like console experience. It's not going over 30, even though it absolutely could if you were running it on a more powerful system. Maybe there's some settings I'm not really sure about, as PS3 emulation is not something I know very well, so when I look at the settings, I'm not really sure exactly what I should be tweaking. Nothing seems quite obvious, but I know how to like set things to maybe play at uncapped frame rates, or at least 60 frames. So I'm not actually sure if Infamous 2 runs better than this, and I've heard on other handhelds Infamous 1 runs quite well. But yeah, you can see from the footage here, like when it gets quite busy, it's somewhere between 20 and 30. And depending on the area and where I look, you can get up to 60. But as far as I'm concerned, playing certain games like this, I'm fairly happy to have the console experience. I mean, if they're demanding games to play, they're demanding a similar situation with the Killzone 2 and 3 games. But I specifically tested Killzone 2. So, and you know, if you watch, for example, Mr. Sujano's videos where you see like updates on emulation, even lately they're still making good progress on the PS3 emulator. So it could be the thing that in a few months' time, even on this handheld, that PS3 emulation will get a little bit better, and maybe this game will run smoother. So maybe I'll think about playing this game later on. This is Asura's Wrath on PS3. This is one I have had a weird little adventure in, because there's apparently, so for example, you can get the DLC for this game, but it doesn't play the DLC. There's like some kind of fix, and it's something to do with the firmware, and trying to find like the correct things to download to do this has been very difficult, as there's, you know, lots of dead pages. If you've been on the same roads I've been on, you probably know exactly what I mean. But I believe I found the file now that will fix the DLC, so at some point I'm intending to play this, and this has been like frame rate unlocked to 60 frames, so it's running pretty nicely at 60 frames in this area. I will admit I've already done this chapter, so during this area it was compiling shaders a lot more, so it kind of like stuttered a bit more. But I do believe it is going to run very well, and I'll find out if the fix does work for the DLC. But this is something I've never played, and again, something I hoped might come to PC and didn't. So this is just one of those things where it's like, if you want a handheld and you kind of want to like delve into these like little gems you missed, and they're like console exclusives, this is one of the things I love about having a handheld, because you can just sort of enjoy all these like past experiences that are not like coming to PC. Same with Jet Set Radio Future, same with Gears of War 2 and 3, so you kind of know where I'm going with the kind of games I'm playing. And, you know, I don't exactly know if Asura's Wrath is actually a great game or not. You know, it's kind of been memed that it's basically a movie you press buttons to, but hey, that could be a pretty cool thing. I might be up for that. So that doesn't sound like a good handheld experience, but, you know, I haven't played the game, so we'll see. And the thing I remember the most is when he was a DLC character in Street Fighter 4, I think. He was a lot like Evil Ryu. No, wait, the DLC in this is like a fight with Street Fighter at the end, isn't it? One of the DLCs. So, yeah, at some point I'll play this. The thing with this handheld I'm finding is like I turn it on and I'm like, oh my god, what do I play? And I have it all laid out on my desktop, but there are things I'm definitely playing, and one of those things I'll show you soon. A couple of them actually. So Asura's Wrath, yeah, it also looks fantastic for its time. The animation, the art design, it's fantastic. So I'm about to open Handheld Companion, and this is like a different kind of like backend thing, kind of like ISpace. But the only reason I have this is because I want to use the gyro functionality of the GEEK 1S, and for some reason ISpace 2 with the GEEK 1S is not letting me do that. Apparently there's some master control with ISpace 2 for the 2S, which lets you tweak around gyro stuff. But here, so I have ISpace on, I'm opening Handheld Companion, but it's specifically for the gyro controls. So in the profile here, you can see that I'm just going to go down to motion control settings, and I just want to show what those settings are so you can see exactly what I'm using. I also had to put some prompts here on the video because I missed a couple of things. So in the general settings, there's a couple of settings I have ticked on for Cemu. So yeah, that's all I did. Now I'm opening up CU and going into input settings, and here you have to do some specific things. So emulator controller has to be Wii U gamepad because that is the controller that has the gyro functionality. And you can see I have the controllers set up. I have a keyboard one as well in case I needed to set a bind to a certain button. But in API here, we go to SDL controller and go into controller. That allows me to pick Xbox 360 controller. If I pick this, it will just bind all the buttons to an Xbox 360 controller. Here is DSU controller, and when I pick controller here, it has to search and it will find it, and this is after using a handheld controller. It's now found it, and this is how we're going to be using the gyro controls. So where it says controller, underneath their settings, there is a tick box there for motion controller you have to turn on, and I've set controller back to Xbox 360 controller, and you can see that rotating the sticks, it showed that my inputs are working. Back in Handheld Companion, I don't need to do this, but I'm just going to show, if I quickly set a bind to show the display 3D controller, we'll see an Xbox 360 controller physically move around now to my physical gyro movements. So we know that's actually working. I'm going to minimize that. And now it's time to actually play a game. So going to jump into Nintendo Land, as this is obviously a great one to just test gamepad functionality because it's the game that got released with the Wii U. And if I set it on the table, I have to leave it there for a bit, but it actually does what it says. It's don't you just love it when software does what it should? And you can see that I'm moving the tablet around, and it's demonstrating that it is actually moving like a gyro. And I just held my finger on the L button there because I set that to the show controller bind. So I look at the screen on the tablet, and when I moved the gyro there, it was showing also the screen for the tablet, and the gyro was working right there too. I'm just having a fiddle here with the Metroid game. This is one I really liked when the game came out first, and you know, I'm a really big fan of shooters, and I think playing shooting games with a gyro is actually a really cool way to play games. And I'm about to kind of like test this here with Star Fox Zero. Now this game kind of blew my mind a little bit because you know, I bought this game when it came out for the Wii U, and my memories of this game was it's alright, but I was a bit disappointed. And I don't think I was as annoyed by the controls as some people were, but maybe it's because it's emulation, it's all on one screen in a handheld and it's all in one thing, but I just think this is amazing for some reason. So I said before that I set the show the screen on the tablet with the L button, so whenever I want to I press the L button and I can jump into the cockpit, and both of these modes I can still use the gyros. So I'm playing a Star Fox game and it's all on one screen, and I was just having a fantastic time playing this. Like, I want to play more of this. It's just that I think it's like easy to agree that this game should have had more levels like this first one and less of like the gyrocopter stuff. I'm not so annoyed about the when you morph into the little landwalker thing. I think that's fine, you know, it just shouldn't be too much of it, but I've not played the whole game again. But you can see here it's running really smooth, and I just playing this again, I was thinking to myself, you know, this is one of the games they have not ported to the Switch, and I think there's some obvious reasons why. But what if they ported it to the Switch and made it feel like how I'm demonstrating it here, but they added more levels like this one? or even took out some of the ones that people were disappointed in, because I actually think this is a really cool experience. I just want to play more of it. So I'm going to let this footage play out so you can just see and hear it and watch me have a good time with it. So yeah, check out Star Fox Zero.
Looks like they sent a welcoming party. Should we say hello? On second thought, let's take the back way. Is everyone all right?
Whoa, the tower's in bad shape.
Star Fox, I'm glad you made it. I'm holed up on the top floor. You must help.
Switching to all range mode. Let's swat some flies. Think you can take down 10 of them, Fox?
Are you okay?
Retreat! Let the bots handle the rest.
Look, they're running. Let's go get them.
Let him go, Slip. We're not done here just yet. The containers are opening. We're in deep trouble if they reach the tower.
Yes, let's go, Fox.
For sharper shooting, use your motion control.
Quit staring.
Not bad, but leave some for the rest of us next time. There's more coming from the shoreline. Watch out! For sharper shooting, use your motion control. Not bad, Fox.
And that's Star Fox Zero. I forgot to mention actually that I had to set the gamepad volume on in order to hear the voices. So I'm just stopping the service here in the handheld companion and turning it off. And you can see I press the button and we're back to ISpace. Simple as that, just to get the gyro functionality working to play with things on the Wii U. It would be nice if ISpace was able to do that with the GEEK. I don't know why. I'm a bit hesitant about updating it at the moment. I'm going to keep my eye on Discord and people's thoughts on which version is the most stable. I think mine is like 0.80 something, and currently it's like 0.85. So I'm going to wait a little bit to upgrade mine. But this is Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. This is on Steam and Switch currently, and soon coming to consoles. It literally came out yesterday, which is August 18th, and this is basically like an indie team doing their own Jet Set Radio because Sega is not making one, and you can seriously just think about it as like a Jet Set Radio 3 with some more twists to it. It actually has a surprising intro. I was a bit like, oh wow, and I wasn't like super sold on it first. It was fun, but as I got through the first like opening level bits, as it's giving more tutorials, I basically got to this section of the game here and I was like, wow, this is incredibly fun. Like, you can play it really straight-laced and just run around and do the objectives, so that's like tagging the artwork and whatever you need to do. But it has like such a fun system in that you can constantly do combos and tricks and ride walls, and you can do little moves. You can take off the skateboard and do fighting moves. You can do parkour. You can a certain kind of parkour, mainly when you jump and trick. And I really don't know how big this game is. It's an indie game, so I'm not expecting it to be big. I think it's around the $40 price tag. I just paid over 30, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to sinking my teeth into that. And lastly here, we're jumping into Yuzu with the just released Red Dead Redemption port. People are going to have like mixed opinions on this one because it is a very lazy port, but we're now able to play the game on current consoles and Switch, but not PC. But technically PC because we're emulating it. And it is running really well on Yuzu. Actually, I think I tried it yesterday and saw some graphical problems, and they seem to have fixed those already, so I'm not really sure if there will be any more graphical problems going into the game. I'm not planning to play it anytime soon, but I wanted to demonstrate it on one of the most current Windows handhelds using Yuzu, and it's using like what you'd expect from a Yuzu game wattage wise, and it's running at around 30 frames, and it looks about as good as it does on the 360. If I was going to play this on a handheld, I'd probably choose this version over the 360 version. What you can also do is, I need to check this in the settings, but the binding for it on the keyboard is Control and U. This unlocks the frame rate, and you can play Red Dead Redemption at 60 frames if your handheld is able to do it. I tried it on this, and I wasn't really able to get any more than like 40 or 45, and there's probably some settings I could tweak in order to get that 60, but I wasn't really going to keep tweaking to find out because I'm not intending to play this anytime soon. But yeah, pretty cool that, you know, here's Red Dead out of the box pretty much straight away as running on emulators. It's a pretty insane time we're living in with this situation going on. But I mean, my opinion of this port is that they could have, you know, kept the online, because I think a lot of people would have liked the online, and they could have done something to try and get it running at 60 on these new consoles. So with that in mind, I mean, it all comes down to price. I don't think this is currently a $50 game, and it's very selfish of them, I guess, you know. I mean, when you look at the stats and you see that Red Dead Redemption 2 has sold over 50 million copies, you know they've got the money to put some love and effort into a game in their catalogue that people have a lot of good memories of, and something that they damn well would support if it was given the support, you know. So it's kind of crazy, but yeah, it's running really well on the Switch and on this handheld. That wraps everything up, really. This is the GEEK 1S. I'm going to play it more. I'm happy with what I paid for it. I'm having a really good time with it. I'm really looking forward to delving more of my catalogue and more games. Just wanted to show what the plastic shell looks like here after gaming for over an hour and feeling it in a hot room. I know I'd have to like wipe it a bit, but it can get smudgy. But it's a minor criticism for what I think is a fantastic Windows handheld. So please give this a like. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.